There's one sound that no one knows. What does the tank say? What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Aggathon's Rage Bar, the show where you ask me questions and I drink delicious beverages. Today, I am going to be joined in a little bit by Adam of That Random Geek Cast. But first, the drink of the week this week. I've been doing beers a lot since, I think, before the first few episodes, and on account of partially getting snowed in and not being able to go get more beer, and this being what I had around, I'm going back to Scotch for a week. This week is actually one of my favorite Scotches. I don't think I've done it yet. This is the Highland Park 12 year. This is probably the best Scotch under $50 you can get. It's a single malt that has a very smoky flavor and finish. It is, like I said, it's my favorite Scotch under $50. It is absolutely delicious. It goes great with a cigar, if you're going to smoke a cigar. Pretty sure my roommates and anyone ever trying to buy this house in the future would be really pissed off if I smoked a cigar in here on the show, so I won't. But here's some Scotch. And joining us now is That Random Geek from That Random Geek Cast. How are you doing?
I am doing great, and due to your drink of the day, I just have to say one thing. Scotch, Scotch, Scotch. I love Scotch. Here it goes into my belly.
Love it, Anchorman.
Yes, Anchorman 2 is coming out soon.
I'm looking forward to that. I was a little dubious that it was just going to be like a rehash of the first one and like just them trying to redo all the same jokes, but the previews actually look pretty great. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, and I have it in my winter fall movie league.
Movie league?
Yes, you auction off movies that are coming out during a period of time, and you spend your $100 on them, and whoever makes the most domestic gross wins.
Huh? So it's like fantasy football with movies.
Yes, it is. It is so much fun.
Nice. Do you like draft the movies too?
Yeah, it's an auction. So, it's like, do you want to spend $1 for it? And you're like, yes. And then the next person goes, I'll spend $2. And you have $100 to spend.
Gotcha. So how much did you spend on Anchorman 2?
I think it was like 10, 13 bucks.
Really? That's it?
Yeah, well, like you figure like The Hobbit I got for 34.
Hmm.
So we only had 4 teams this time. So that was enough for it that I think I'm going to make enough money off of it. Usually I try to make about 10 million per dollar, because then in the end you make $1 billion, and then you tend to win if you can do that.
Gotcha. Okay. $1 billion. All right. So let's talk about some World of Warcraft. First thing I want to talk about is flex rating, because not a lot of people realize one of the changes to flex rating. One of my pet peeves sort of is that if I'm ever in a flex raid and I want to invite a 15th person, because 14 is the optimal number for flex, they go, oh no, we would have to deal with 25-man mechanics in this flex raid. We don't want to do that, so we're going to stay with 14 people. So Blizzard put out a hot fix on December 16th. It reads, to help smooth difficulty scaling as players are added or removed from a flexible raid, several raid boss abilities that target additional players as the size of a flexible raid increases will use weighted randomization rather than strict breakpoints. For more information on the change, check out this thread on the Dungeons, Raids, and Scenarios forum. So, how do you feel about this change to flex rating?
In the end, for me, the change didn't really affect how I flex raid. I'm primarily a flex raider right now. I run a flex raid, and I've never been like, hey, you can't come because of the extra person and hitting 15. I'm on the firm believer that Blizzard wants us to have more people playing with, and we just want to keep adding people if they want to come. That being said, in a group that primarily does flex rating, I feel that this kind of hurts them because they can't prepare properly for the number of, say, mind controls or jails that have to be broken out of in the current cycle of Siege of Orgrimmar. So in the end, I don't like the change coming from a pure flex raider, and but it doesn't matter to me because before it wouldn't have affected the number of people I'd allow
Well,
into my raid.
oh, that's right. And let's make a distinction real quick. The myth of if you have 15 people, you have to deal with 25 player mechanics. That was a myth from the get go, right? You are just now adding one more thing at 15 instead of all the way up to 25. So like if you had 15 on Shaw Pride, you'd have to break out 3 jails, not all 4 like it was on 25, right?
Correct. It's 100% correct. And when you think about it, why would they make it 25 player mechanics with 15?
Yeah.
You're still at less than three-quarters of the people that should be in there. So you're dealing with about three-quarters of the number of abilities, and their health is still lower than it is in 25 man. The only thing that is the same as 25 man is the number of battle reses, and that's the same even if you only have 10. You can get 3 battle reses. They don't actually scale up the number of battle reses. They just keep it flat.
Gotcha. I thought battle resist was just however many you brought, you could use them.
No, it's the same as 25 man. We
Okay.
have, I think, something like 5 battle reses normally, and we will only be able to use 3.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, that's nice though. You can still use 3 no matter what size. Um, so one of the reasons why I think they're bringing this up is because they had talked about in Worlds of Draenor doing something similar with loot and all their mechanics. Because in Worlds of Draenor, pretty much everything is going to become flex now, right? So what they were saying is they want to make a loot system for what will in Worlds of Draenor be normal and heroic rating. They want to make a loot system that is still guild centric, because the LFR loot system that Flex currently uses is really sort of geared towards gearing you up personally. It's better for an individual and someone that's inconsistent, whereas the regular loot table is better geared towards gearing up an entire group. So they've been talking about making it so that as you have more people in the raid, you have a similarly increased percent chance of getting another piece of loot. So that, okay, this boss usually drops 2 pieces of loot, but you have 13, so you have a 30% chance of getting a third piece of loot or something like that.
Hmm.
So I think that's why they added this, because they said, hey, these statistics we can use for loot, we can do that with player abilities also, right?
Yes, I really like the way they're going about flipping the flex raid into the better chance of getting loot. I think if I remember right, they're going to actually give you the option. You can set a master looter, or you can set it so it's all personal loot rolls. And either way, it makes it so everyone has a 20% chance of loot.
Yeah.
Because what they're going to do is every person will add 20% chance. Because then at 25, you get 5 pieces.
So as someone that does flex rating primarily, you do, what do you think? What do you think of this change? Do you like that it's changing all, or are you going to turn it to master looter and do loot on a guild structure, or are you gonna stick with the LFR method of loot?
I think in the end, it depends on how many people we have that are in our guild and how many people that are out of our guild. I think that people will say we bring in 10 people from outside our guild and we have 9 or 10 from our guild and we have 20 people. I think the people from outside the guild might feel more comfortable with the everyone for themselves loot feel, because they don't feel like we're going to take the loot and like hoard it for us. So we might be able to bring a couple more people in that way. That being said, when we're just doing it with just our guild, we'll probably go to the group, the regular, master looter system, because, for example, we went this past Thursday, and one person got 4 pieces of gear on the personal loot gear, and me and like 4 or 5 other people got none. And were other people that could have used that gear because he was a Death Knight. So we had a Pally, a Retribution Pally, and we actually had 3 Death Knights that night that all could have used it. And he got all of it. And he's a nice guy. He's like, if I could have given it to you, I would have. And it's not something that he would just say that. He probably would. Uh, if they allowed you to trade the gear between people, I think we'd continue with the personal loot that
Mm-hmm.
way. But if it's a raid group, we're gonna go to the master looter system for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I I pretty much agree with that. I got nothing to add. That tells the story. Um, so here's something else about Flex. Kind of moving on to a different topic. So I've been trying to do Flex on my alt, who is Disc Priest. Is now up to 533. I think I hit today. Um, and I've started running the issue that it doesn't matter that my main is 10 of 14 hard mode. If I don't have 540, I apparently can't do flex, even though I've already healed all of it. Now, I think you told me earlier that you pretty much just invite whoever wants to come. Do you have any minimum requirements at all, or?
No, we don't at all. We're very casual, so we want to bring more people in. We want to get people comfortable with us because we really don't want to be a flex only group. That's not like we're like, you know what? We just want to go in and flex all night. That's not really our goal. Our goal is to really normal mode raid, and
Don't don't want to flex all night.
no.
Yeah, yeah. Not gonna. All right, sorry. Go on.
It's okay. We want to be a normal mode raid team, and say at the end of an expansion, kind of like Dragon Soul, get into the heroics, late game, just to keep ourselves busy until the new expansion. So we want to bring more people in. So we have a core group of about 6 or 7 of us that are all either flex geared or even some normal because we do fill in for another raid team on our guild, and we all upgrade our gear and we keep everything up there. So we're able to kind of carry a couple of people without much of an issue because flex mode it's pretty easy at this point. So to bring people in, get them some gear, make them happy that we're not ostracizing them because they're not high enough, makes it beneficial for us because we can then create a normal mode raid team in the near future.
Yeah, yeah. Again, that's what I would agree with. That's what I always try to do. Uh, if I know a player is a good player, I'm gonna take them. I don't really care what their gear. I don't care what their gear score is, bro.
hmm
Uh, I
I know
actually had
some people. Oh, I was gonna say
I
I
had a
know some
guild,
people with lower gear score that can out DPS people with higher gear score because they just know their class better.
which with the with how bad gear inflation is, that's pretty impressive. Like I'm pretty sure there are some classes that could probably just press a button and just out DPS most classes if they had higher gear.
hmm
Um, but I actually had a guilder today that was his alt is 549 geared, and the guy was looking for 550 plus for Garrosh only normal mode. And my guy was like, "Hey, I'm 449, but I'm 10 of 14 heroic. Like I've done this fight many times. I know what the heck I'm doing. I'm only one item level off." And the guy goes, "Can you read? It says 550." Like,
Yeah, that seems even more ridiculous.
but like this fixation that people have on item level is just bizarre to me. I mean, maybe it's because I came from a time where we used to pug a lot of people. We didn't care what it was. We were interested in, finding players to see if they were cool people and if they were good at their class. And we realized that, like, gear score didn't really matter. And so I get that people need some sort of basis to be able to judge how good a character is. But the point in time where you're like, hey, my main's really good. I've had 10 hard mode bosses down, and you're still like, nope, you don't have the gear score. You can't come in. Like, what? This just doesn't make any sense to me. So what's your opinion on gear score? Should Blizzard have even added in item level?
I think it's a good thing to have, but it's something people depend on too much. If you're looking for people and they're like, hey, I have experience, that's really what should prove to be the factor that you worry about most if they have experience. If you're going against Garage, I wouldn't recommend anyone taking me to go see Garage and just because they're pugging. I haven't even gone through was it Nazgrim yet on normal, so the experience is what matters. I wish because whether or not it's in the game, they're gonna find a way of finding the people's item levels. Wow, Heroes, right, is the website that we used to use during Wrath to see what their people's gear score was. So
Oh,
the fact that they
jeez.
put it in just makes it easier for people to find it. That being said, I believe that you should just bring more people and have fun. If you're really hardcore raiding team, you're gonna have you know backups ready to take that someone's spot. So it's almost like you're a casual team with a hardcore mentality. Is you're just trying to ostracize people. It's the same with like they're expecting. I've seen a lot of groups that expect a certain eye level to say do Secrets of Ogrimmar, but the item level needed is the item levels you get from Siege of Ogrimmar. So
Yeah, yeah, I've
you know
seen
what I'm
that
saying?
too. Like I don't get that about flex. Like looking for more flex requires 450 or 540, but
Hmm.
that's the level of gear that drops. Like, are you saying you want people that have already fully upgraded all of their gear? Not, I know there may be some people that are like they need a trinket real bad, and they're like normal mode raiders. They might have like 550 gear or something, but that their trinket just sucks. They'll take the flex one. But like, are you really gonna like lean on finding like every single one of those people? Like, asking the same item level minimum requirement to do that level just doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's like, well, how would you like me to get up to a 540 if no flex is going to take me in?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just and when it comes to flex, I forget if I told you before. I feel I'm not one to really tell people that they're doing something wrong, but by leaving people out of flex, I feel like you're doing something wrong with it. Like the whole idea is that you bring people in, you drop them, you just go. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be this difficult to get into a flex rate at this point, especially with the time style out there and that your gear scores are good enough to do it.
Yep. Gotcha. All right, so let's move on to the last topic before we talk about how people could win a collector's edition of Warlords of Draenor. I want to talk a little bit about connected realms. Realms keep getting connected. They keep trying to increase the critical mass required on certain realms. What's your opinion on connecting all of these realms? Are they really is this really server shutdowns and they're just not telling us that? Like server mergers are always these like sort of bad buzzword like, "Oh, the game is dying because they're having to shut down servers." Like I think connected realms are a good way to get around the PR catastrophe, but what do you think about it just from a pragmatic point? Like is this good? Is this bad? What do you think?
I think it's good for the community. I think that I'm upset that it hasn't happened to my server yet. I think the main reason it's not happening to my server is because we're so alliance heavy and we're kind of medium pop, so they're probably waiting on it. We're very low in server horde side just because everyone's kind of left it. They've gone to the bigger horde servers. So for us to like recruit, it takes forever. Like we have to hope people come back. I think, like you said, it's a nice way of saying we're shutting down servers. You know, it's like everything nowadays. You kind of put the positive spin on it. In my job of selling cell phones, if someone hasn't fulfilled their 2-year contract, if they come in asking for an upgrade, you're like, yes, you're eligible for an upgrade. You just get to pay $650 for that phone. So it's the same idea. I think in the end, it's going to be helpful once we kind of get into a place where everyone feels comfortable with the number of players, both on their server and on their faction.
So, in Warlords of Draenor, uh, you're going to be able to do normal and heroic cross realm because it's still going to be flex. Um, why why not have cross realm guilds?
Well, yeah, I agree. There's no reason not to. There's no reason for them not to just go into a one server economy where everything is one server based.
Well, actually, that would be what I want to. What I would like to see is I would like to see a massive server merge with everyone is on one server. But then, sort of like SWTOR did it, each instance, like say you're in Orgrimmar, can have 1 million people in Orgrimmar at once. That would be bad. So instead, you have so many people that are allowed to be in one instance of Orgrimmar, and you can have these parallel instances of Orgrimmar where you have like so many people, like you could have 200 people in Orgrimmar, and then the next 200 are in Orgrimmar 2, and the next 200 are in Orgrimmar 3, and you just stagger it so that they're all technically still in the same zone. If you invite them to the other group, you'll switch to the other zone so that you're in the same group. But you can instance everything in a layered fashion such that the world looks alive and like there's a lot of people, because there's still a ton of people to play WoW. But if you go to like my old server Cho'Gall compared to my new server Bleeding Hollow is packed compared to Cho'Gall. Cho'Gall is sort of like a medium server, and it had a ton of Horde side. I play Horde. It was Horde heavy, so that was still nice. But the Bleeding Hollow, like you can't swing a cat without hitting someone in Shrine of Two Moons. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's also ridiculous that you have servers like Area 52, Horde side, where you go in and you're in a queue waiting to get in. But then there's servers like Drendon US, which is what I play in, where you get on and there's just not enough people playing.
Yeah.
I don't see in like technology nowadays, and I'm no expert, but why some people are waiting and other people aren't when really it's all server space somewhere.
Yeah.
So
If there's a way that they could aggregate that server space across all of their servers instead of so that okay, Bleeding Hollow is too full or Area 52 is too full, but there's no wait time on this server, so why can't we allocate some of the server resources from this server to allow more people to play on this server? And I think the answer to that is because of there'd be too many people in an instance and it would like crash the zone. But if you could layer the instances and do parallel instances, then it would probably work out all right.
basically, server names should just become like preferred instances. Like, if you pick
That's
Drendon
ridiculous.
US, your preferred instance is Orgrimmar Drendon.
Yeah.
And that's a way of trying to keep that server community that they've been talking about. Why they're not just saying, "Hey, these two servers are now called this server," and then also, letting people keep their names. People are very attached to their character names, and if you really just became all one server, people would be like, "Well, why does he get it and I don't?"
One of the things I think would be interesting about a massive server merge is the economies merging, because you have different servers whose economies act differently. And one of the things I think would be interesting is to see if people are still capable of sort of running an auction house. Because there's a lot of people who love to play the auction house. Like that's one of the reasons they play the game is because they like the economies of WoW. They like to play the auction house. They like to make a profit, see how much money they can make, and that's great. But are you still able to do that in a one massive connected realm?
hmm
Or are there just too many people buying and trading on the auction house for that to even be possible?
You know, I think it would make it very difficult because I know people who do that that really rely on buying out all of one product and then just flipping it back on for more money.
Hmm.
And if you have 4 million people all putting their money into the same auction house, that's a lot of goods to buy, of any item. I think they would need an overhaul of the auction house system overall if they're going to do that. I think the search needs to be a little better. I don't
Yeah.
know. I know a lot of people disagree with the Diablo 3 auction house because of the premise of it, but I feel though that they've created a great interface for the auction house that they should really kind of carry over to WoW.
Yeah, I can buy that. I mean, having an auction house in WoW is significantly different from having an auction house in D3. So,
Yeah.
uh, I, I, I definitely agree with the auction house. I know Rim doesn't like the auction house in D3 going away, but
hmm
her opinion is wrong. But,
Well, when we're off camera, I'll tell you my idea. I
okay,
just need to find people, and I just can't tell everyone on the internet about it just now.
okay, gotta make sure all your trademarks and patents are out there first.
Yes.
Um, so, anyways, the next thing is going to sort of relate into again, one of the reasons why Adam, that random geek, is on the show with us today, and that is because of that. Fat. I fat.
Fatty.
I'm fat. I'm not gonna say Adam's fat because
Well,
that's
I'm
me.
fat.
Okay, he says he's fat, but we've been wanting to sort of get together, and I in 2012 I lost 55 pounds. Then I changed projects at work, and for about 18 months, I was traveling about 80% of the time. The longest span I was home in 18 months was 3 weeks, and that happened 3 times in 18 months. Um, it it was rough. Traveling that much makes it really, really hard to stay in shape, and I was pretty good for like the first half of the year of just like not gaining any weight. I was like staying pretty much the same. Winter's tough. When it's this cold outside, I don't want to be an engineer anymore. I want to be a bear. I just want to hibernate, you know? I just want to put all the food in and then go to sleep. Is pretty much what I want to do. So I've gained most of it back. So we're coming up with a challenge. And if you want to participate in this challenge, you have a chance to win a collector's edition of Warlords of Draenor, plus Warlords of Draenor, for anyone that competes, not just the winner, and then also some other cool prizes, possibly game time or pets or something like that. So yeah, I had lost 55 pounds, and I've almost gained it all back at this point. I've gained like 35 of it back, so I've still got like 17 plus. But that was a lot of work I put in. I even, if you saw in one of the episodes, I did the Tough Mudder, and ever since the Tough Mudder, I have just been worthless, and it's bad, and I need to get back into it. This is another reason why we're doing this. So, Adam, why are you doing this? Why do you want to get into this? Be a sponsor for this Get Buffed, the World of Warcraft weight loss challenge.
Well, my story is very much like yours. Back I want to say 2004, 2005-ish, I was pretty heavy. I lost 70 pounds in about 5.5, 6 months doing Weight Watchers, kind of getting in shape. At that time, I was single, and I was like, you know what? I need to feel better about myself before I can, kind of find the person I want to be with, and go on with my life and not just be the nerd behind the computer. I wanted a little bit more. So I lost the weight. I gained a little bit of back.
I was going to say, but with your hand motions, you can see that you were successful in that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. So I gained a little bit of back. I met my wife. We've since got married, had a kid, and I've really started to really pack on the weight lately. I've gone from, my lowest I was 230, and now I'm up to 350. I mean, everyone's going to know in the near future. So that it's just not comfortable. I need to be in better shape. I have a 8-month-old daughter, and really I need to be in better shape for her because she's going to want to run around. I'm going to have to be able to do that with her. So that's what really kind of motivates me. And I need to be alive to raise my daughter and take care of her. It's diabetes runs in the family, heart problems, all that. So that's really what motivates me. And it was great that you had mentioned in our Blizzmaster talks that you wanted to do this, because over at That Random Geekcast, me and Navox were like, yeah, we really want to do this. Kind of get people involved, and start losing weight together, because that's really the best way to do it. If you have a little bit of accountability to yourself, but when you're at the movie theater and you see the M&Ms and you're only holding yourself accountable, you're like, you know what? One thing of M&Ms isn't going to kill me, and then that goes on and on. But if you're working with other people, you're like, that's where your motivation comes. It's like, hey, look, I dropped 10 pounds this week. How did you do? And it's a competition, and I'm a very competitive person, so I don't like to lose.
Yep. All right. So we've been talking about how we want to lose weight. We're getting into this competition. So how people can win. So we're going to try to do this as fairly as possible. The grand prize, the collector's edition Warlords of Draenor, those of us that are sponsoring it, and it's gonna be me, you, Adam, you, Navox is going to be in it. He's actually already started, so he's probably going to lose the third way to win. But then I know Cage of Hell at BlizzMaster.com is also interested in it, and there may be a couple people also. But we're all going to sponsor this and really get behind it, sort of be your cheerleaders, and we're going to be working out with you to get this done. But the how you win the grand prize is the person that is not a sponsor that loses the most weight as a percentage of their body mass. So let's say you weigh 300 pounds and you lose 60 pounds. That's 20% of your body mass that you lost. So if 20% is the highest percentage lost, then you win the collector's edition of Worlds of Draenor. And this is until 2 weeks before Worlds of Draenor is released. So up until 2 weeks, if you're competing, then we'll turn in our final submissions. We'll look through it. The number one person gets Worlds of Draenor Collector's Edition for free from us. Now, the other way to win, layer 2 of this, anyone that competes in the competition that shows any progress, be it 5 pounds or 500 pounds, will be entered in a drawing to win Warlords of Draenor. And then just the regular digital download edition. We're not made of money, all right? And then the third way to win is those of us that are sponsors. You can bet is a bad word because
you can root.
Yeah, root.
You can
I
root
guess
for one of us.
Choose one of the sponsors and say, I think this person is going to lose the most weight by body mass percent. And if who you chose won, I mean, it kind of depends on how many people participate in this, because if we get like 1,000 entries and they all pick me and I win, we're not going to be able to afford 1,000 months of game time for people. But so it kind of depends on who wins, but we're going to try to give a lot of prizes for that. That's going to be like a month of game time or something like that, or an in-game pet, depending on what we can scrounge together. And if you picked the sponsor, then you'll win that. So Adam, how are you gonna win? What's your strategy? What's your strategy for weight loss?
Well, the first thing I always do is I don't go straight from being fat and lazy to eating well and working out right away. Like first thing I do is I really fix my diet. I cut out sodas, and kind of work out the real fatty things that are in my diet to make it better. I do a little bit. It's actually my aunt brought this up. She calls it addition dieting, and it's like we were talking about earlier. It's a positive way of saying eating healthier, because it's like, day 1 or week 1, depending on how you want to do it. You're like, I'm going to eat an apple, and then every day you have to eat that apple, no matter what else you eat. And then whatever day you set, 3 days later, you say, you know what, I'm going to have a salad. So every day you have to eat an apple and you have to eat a salad. So what you're doing is you're making yourself eat certain foods in order to stop making yourself so you're not hungry for the other foods. And it helps for me because it's like a slow change in my diet. It's not that like shock to my system where it's like all of a sudden I'm not eating anything I like. And because we know Warlords of Draenor is going to be at least 6 months out. When you agree?
Yeah. I got my money on July 15th.
Yeah. So if we're looking at 6 months, we're really looking at the long haul. Who can sustain the weight loss and keep it off for that 6 months? And kind of changing my diet is key number 1, and changing in a way that I'm not going to revert back to it in a month.
Well, let's just say right here, it's our plan that this is going to be season 1, and that season 2 may not be the World of Warcraft weight loss challenge. It may be the Heroes of the Storm weight loss challenge, or the StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void weight loss challenge, or we're planning on keeping this through. And if you want to get on the ground level now, there may even be some legacy prizes, some special prizes that people can win if you were in this from the beginning. Oh, and something else I'm going to say, we're going to start on January 1st. That's the first day you can put in submissions, and we'll talk about how to submit in a little bit. January 1st is going to be the first day that you can start submitting to be in the contest. But we're going to let you put in for the contest. So I don't know. What do you think? Like April or something? Like
I would say maybe until they actually announce a hard release date
okay.
on Warlords of Draenor. So it's like, hey, say April 1st, they announce the release date. You have one more week to get
I
in
don't know
on
if they say on April 1st what the release date is. I might not believe it.
it. Well, we're gonna get the Bard class, right?
Oh, I want to play a bard so bad. Just Guitar
But
Hero it up, man.
yeah, because then that gives us a date based, so you have like a home stretch. It's from the day maybe a week after they announce it to the 2 weeks before is where you have to really make sure you're hitting it hard, and it's almost like recenter your strategies.
Gotcha. Anyways, sorry, I kind of interrupted there, but so did you more on your strategy?
So anyway, so once I kind of get my diet right, because like I said, long haul, then I'm going to start working on you know little increases in my physical activity. Going for at least a mile walk. You know, uh, 2 miles, 3 miles. Kind of work my way up, and then I'd like to say I'm going to go to the gym. Don't take this as a negative that I'm not going to go to the gym. Still root for me, but I just with my work schedule, I work retail. I don't know if it's something I can 100% commit to. So I don't know if I'm going to really spend the money on the gym.
I'm
But
I'm not gonna go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. No one wants to see this jumping up and down on a treadmill. I'm saving everyone some time. However, having said that, I do plan on working out a lot. But anyways, continue. I'll talk about my strategy a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean that's pretty much my strategy. It's worked for me before, and I'm toying with the idea, depending on the dates, is actually signing up for Weight Watchers. Because that's just another group of people that you kind of talk to. Because
Yeah.
that's how I lost it the first time. I just you go every week and they're like, yay, woot, you did good.
Yeah, and they usually have some New Year's specials because that's around the time everyone's like, New Year's resolutions. I'm not gonna be fat anymore, so they
Yep.
join Weight Watchers.
For the record, we're not making resolutions though, because
Yes,
resolutions never happen right.
that's true.
It's like making wishes. There's always the
And
loophole.
I could tell because when I was working out a lot at work, December, there were a ton of people in our gym at work. We have a gym at work. I work at a great place that put in just this brand new state of the art gym. It's awesome. But in December, there was like nobody there after work. Like, I mean, granted, there was also a lot of people off on holiday, so there's even less people there than normal. But yeah, there was like 2, 3, 4, 5 when it was really busy. People there after work. First week of January, I couldn't even go because just like everything was packed. Every single piece of equipment was being used. Like it was just loaded. I went back again in like March and April, down to about like 10 or so people in the gym. So yeah, New Year's resolutions. This really needs to be ultimately a lifestyle change for it to work in the long term. And I've let my lifestyle slip significantly because I sort of like had the change forced upon me because of all the travel I had done. But fortunately, for those of you that would be choosing me to win the race, that's changing
And
for me.
losing. Sorry.
It's on. I will not be
Donkey
traveling
Kong.
nearly as much as I have been. My travel schedule is getting reduced, so I'm really happy about that. But my strategy, and this is something that if anyone's interested in, you can join me in this. I am very much a physics person. Being an engineer, scientist, I take the physics approach to things. And that is energy in has to be less than energy out every day. So I'm going to, I think I already have MyFitnessPal. I think it's set up as Aggathon. It's my username. I'll set that up. I think I already got one request actually on it. But anyways, I'm going to sign up for MyFitnessPal. I will be recording what I eat and what I exercise every single day. Except maybe on Fridays, because Fridays are going to be my cheat days. Adam probably doesn't like this strategy, but I do. That's every day, or one day a week, and it has to be the same day. You're allowed to have a cheat day where you could eat whatever you want. Now, typically, you don't want to go overboard and just eat like 20 pizzas and a bunch of cheesecake and wash it down with a gallon of strawberry quick or anything. But I'm a fan of cheat days. You know, keep it reasonable. But you know, go out, have some barbecue, have a soda, whatever. It's your cheat day. You can do what you want. You can kind of reward yourself for being good the other 6 days. And actually, there's some pretty good science around this, that this actually helps sort of shock your metabolism and allows you to burn calories better. And really, it's hard to maintain a really strict diet if you don't kind of get a reward every now and then. It's very much a mental thing as much as it's a physiological thing. So I'll have a cheat day. I will be tracking my calories. I will be working out. I have asked for P90X3 for Christmas. I had done P90X before. I did P90 first, which is sort of the beginner's version of P90X, which I highly recommend. It's very good. It's kind of boring, kind of repetitive. So I'd recommend getting some good music and to vary it up a little bit, but it's basically the same workout. And you just alternate, which it's like 2 workouts. You just alternate every day. But anyways, I did Power 90 first, and then I did P90X. I got through 75 days of P90X before I started to have to travel like crazy for work and kind of fell off that wagon. And I've continued to do P90X here and there, but I've never gotten through the full 90 days. So part of that's because of work. It's really hard to work out a full hour. P90X3 is like 30, 35, 40-minute workouts instead of a full hour. So I'm looking forward to that. I may try and supplement, if I have enough time, do a full P90X workout instead of just a P90X3 workout. But so yeah, I'm going to be working out heavily. I'm going to be watching what I eat. Just got to keep up the discipline. I've learned after a few times that motivation only gets you so far. It's got to become a habit after a while. So that's what I'm going to do to lose weight. I think I'm up to like 354 or something like that. This year, 2014, damn it, I'm going to weigh a weight that begins with a 2 instead of a 3. Yep. That's my goal.
Yeah, I'm 100% on that. The same goal. 200 and something pounds is my first.
And you're 6'2", right?
No, I'm like 6'1", somewhere between there. And for the record, I agree with the cheat day. It's Navax that doesn't.
Okay, gotcha. Well, you had said like every day you're gonna eat like an apple and a salad.
Right, but even then, you have your cheat day is the day that you can have like, piece of like pie or whatever, cake. Yeah. I agree with the cheat day. I kind of work within the Weight Watchers, which is kind of the non-intelligent person's way of saying the physics-based, like you say. You get so many points, and I did Weight Watchers for so long. I kind of have an idea of points just from looking at things, and that's how I'm gonna that's what I'm gonna work it into. And with Weight Watchers, you get what they call flex points. It's basically 30 points that you can use anywhere in the week rather than in a specific day. And I always use all those points in one day and make it a cheat day. So.
Gotcha. All right. So, first off, since this video is, I get most of my views from TankSpot. Just, this is not a TankSpot thing. If you want to enter, you're need to go over to blizzmaster.com. I've been begging Rim to give me forum admin, and she still has not given me forum admin. But when she gives me forum admin, we will be making a forum over on blizzmaster.com, and there's where you can submit your entries. Now we'll have a post of how to submit it. We can do public submissions, or you can do private submissions. So if you want to do a private submission, we'll probably just have it send it to Aggathon@gmail.com, or we may have send it to a Blizzmaster account. We'll kind of decide that in the next couple of weeks how exactly we want to do the submissions. But if you want to start a log, I'm going to be starting a log that I will post in every day on the Blizzmaster forums. If you want to kind of get behind, start rooting for people, that'll be a good thing that you can do. How are we going to prove this? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have you take a picture. Now, it can be shirt on, shirt off. Please, if any women are doing this, wear appropriate undergarments. But I'm a huge believer in the before and after picture. It works really well for motivation. I'm gonna take one every 30 days, so I can track my progress. And sometimes it doesn't look like a lot, but when you look back on that before picture, it gives you a lot of motivation to keep going. But we're gonna have you take a picture holding a sign that says, "I am so and so," and you can use your WoW name. You don't have to use your real name or whatever. And this is the Get Buffed Weight Loss Challenge. And then take another picture of that same sign over your scale so you can see your starting weight. And then we'll do the same thing for the ending weight. Please look. There's 24 people that work at BlizzMaster.com. Most of us have Photoshop experience. Don't Photoshop any pictures. You're not only cheating yourself, but you're cheating the other people that are trying to lose weight. We will be rejecting Photoshopped things. We know what to look for. Don't even try it. You're not going to win. We want this to be legit. We're going to try and crack down on cheaters as much as possible. It's not really worth it to cheat. This is really all about getting healthy. So yeah, feel free to join us. And we will have a full post on. I'll try to talk about it a little bit on my show next week, and you can go over to blizzmaster.com. There will be a forum section that will be added shortly. It is currently not public because Rim is still working on it, but we're gonna work on that in the next week to try and get this whole thing rolling. Starting January 1st, you can make your submissions, and we'll start recording. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think you've pretty much hit everything. In the end, yes, there are good prizes, but in the end, we really want to just really get everybody healthier, us included, and it'll be fun. Once you start picking one of us to root for, the forums will be a fun place to kind of share what we're doing. I think we also might talk about that we might do like a 15-minute mini podcast, either weekly or bi-weekly, to kind of keep you guys up to date, because that'll help you by hearing what we're doing, I believe. And if you're rooting for us, then you'll be able to know where we stand.
Yep, I completely agree. Anyways, I think that about wraps it up for this episode of Aggathon's Rage Bar. It's probably going to be a pretty long one, so sorry, but it's worth it because you could win a Warlords of Draenor Collector's Edition.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get a hold of that random geek, you can add him on Twitter. And what is your Twitter handle again?
My Twitter handle is @GeekOfRandom.
Geek of Random.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, you can follow me on Twitter. That is @Aggathon. Or if you want to send a question to the show, you can send it to my Twitter handle, or you can go to tankspot.com and send a message to the username Aggathon. So yeah, please keep submitting your questions. I want to do another question show next week, so if you have any questions, I realize it's kind of a lull in Warcraft news right now. I mean, Siege of Morrowind has been over for a while. The beta for Warlords isn't out yet. But if you have any questions, comments, joys, or concerns, please send them. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out here on YouTube. And yeah, have a happy holidays to everyone.